Welcome to another Practice Makes You Better series. In this episode, I'm going to be doing motorway rules, which is one of the biggest topics along with road signs. So if you haven't seen my videos before, the theory test is about safety. I'm going to show you hints, tips and tricks along the way, show you how to break it down, get you little golden nuggets from the questions, golden nuggets from the answers. So I'm going to do a 30 question mock test and I'm using an app. My app of choice is Driving Test Success, otherwise known as the 4-in-1. So let's jump onto my iPad and let's get started. So the first question, you're driving on a motorway. What does it mean if a car in front shows its hazard warning lights for a short time? So traffic ahead is slowing or stopping suddenly. That's a option. The driver wants to overtake, no. The other car is going to change lanes, no. There's police speed check ahead, no. The reason why people flash their hazard lights is because sometimes in broad daylight, the brake light doesn't show up clearly, but flashing amber lights do, which is what your hazard lights are. So that's the reason why people do it. So it's that option. What would you expect to find at a contraflow system on a motorway? Just in case you didn't know, a contraflow means, in terms of driving, going against the flow of traffic. So you're on the motorway, the crash barrier is being opened up and you're going to go on the other side of the carriageway against the flow of traffic. So that's what that means. So let's see the options they're giving us. Wider lanes than normal? No, because it's roadworks. If anything, it's going to be narrower lanes. Road humps? No. Temporary traffic lights? No. Lower speed limits? The reason for lower speed limits is because you're going on the other side of the carriageway, going against the flow of traffic. So they are going to reduce the speed limits because technically it's roadworks. What colour are the reflective studs between a motorway and a slip road? Now, I've been asked a lot about this in recent weeks, the colour of the studs. I'm going to show you a very simple way, but I will leave the link to the video in the description and up here somewhere. Where you can get a better understanding. But the answer to this question, the color of the studs for the slip road, because the slip road is green. Now, when it comes to lanes, when they ask this question, as you can see, it's going to have motorway on the screen on your real test, just like it is on the app. So motorway, that's what you need to remember. The colors appear exactly the way it is in the motorway word. So R is on the left, red studs. That's your left-hand lane stroke hard shoulder. W is in the middle of R and A. That's white studs. So that's your middle lane. And amber appears on the right of the R and the W. That's your amber studs on the right near the crash barrier. So all you got to do is remember RWA appears in the motorway and it's in exact order. R on the left for red, W in the middle for white studs, and A for amber studs is on the right hand side. So hopefully that helps you guys out with that. When would you use the right hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Now be very careful with this question. This is a motorway question, but they can ask it as a dual carriageway question. If it's a dual carriageway, it's right hand lanes for overtaking and turning right. Because you can't turn right on a motorway, it's only for overtaking. So that's what we're looking for. So when you're turning right, no. When you're traveling above the speed limit, no, because obviously that's not safe. When you're trying to save fuel, no. When you're overtaking, that's what the right hand lane's for, is for overtaking. And then you get back to the left when it's safe to do so. Which vehicle should use the left hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Now this sounds like a trick question. Which vehicles should use the left hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Every vehicle. If you're not overtaking, use the left hand lane. So everybody should be staying left. Large vehicles only, no. Slow vehicles only, no. Emergency vehicles only, no. Any vehicle that isn't overtaking, which is the right one. So if you're not overtaking, everybody should be in the left hand lane. I know you see people not doing that, but it doesn't make it right. So stay left when possible. You are traveling along a motorway. Where would you find a crawler or climbing lane? Now, this, if you don't know what a crawler lane is for heavy goods vehicles. When they're going up a steep hill, they're going to be a lot slower than a car driver is. So you're going to find it on a steep gradient on the left-hand side of a motorway. So let's see the options. Along the hard shoulder, no. On a steep gradient, yes. But always read the following answers just in case. Before a service station, no. Before a junction, no. You're driving on the motorway. Which lane should you get into well before you reach your exit? The exit's always on the left, so that's your clue if you like. So your exit's on the left. You should be in the left-hand lane from at least a mile away from your exit. So you're going to look for the left-hand lane in this particular question. So the middle lane, no. Hard shoulder, no. Right-hand lane, no. Left-hand lane, yes. How should you use the lanes on a motorway? Interesting question. How should you use the lanes on the motorway? So let's see the options they're giving us. Use the lane that has the least traffic, no. Stay in one lane until you reach your exit. That may not be possible, so no. Overtake using the lane that's clearest, again, no. Keep to the left-hand lane unless you're overtaking, which we discussed before in a previous question. So it's going to stay left when possible. How should you rejoin the motorway after a breakdown on the hard shoulder? If you've broken down on the hard shoulder, once you've got your car repaired, what you want to do is pick up speed on the hard shoulder so you can match the traffic that's on the main carriageway. So it's something along those lines. So keep your hazard lights flashing until you have safely rejoined the carriageway. It's got safely on that, so it's a possible. But again, read the other options just in case you don't realize why I'm saying it's got safe in there. The theory test is about safety. If it's got safety, safely in the answer, you may want to tick it as a possibility. It doesn't always work, but you can shortlist it because obviously you can change your answer. So that's why I've put that as a possible. The only thing I'm not too sure about, it says keep your hazard lights flashing. So that's the reason why I got a question mark, but that's the one I'm going to tick for now. And I'm going to read the following answers. Wait until a vehicle in the left-hand lane signals to you that it's safe to join. Again, it's got safe in that one, but that's not what you're going to be doing. People shouldn't be flashing people to join the motorway. So that's not a safe option, even though it's got the word safe in it. Build up the speed on the hard shoulder before looking for a safe gap in the traffic. Now, let me just read the last one. I'm going to come back to that. This is what I'm talking about. Read all the answers because sometimes there's a better answer. Move straight out into the left-hand lane as you are not allowed to drive on the hard shoulder. That can't be safe. So we already got rid of two answers. So now we're left with two. I'm going to read the two again and I'm going to show you why it's important that you read all the answers because sometimes there's better information in the others. So the one that I've got ticked at the moment. Keep your hazard lights flashing until you have safely rejoined the carriageway. That sounds like a decent, respectable answer. Like I said, the only question mark I would have is keep your hazard lights flashing. So the other answer is build up your speed on the hard shoulder before looking for a safe gap in the traffic. Again, it's got safe. That is a better overall answer in terms of safety. No hazard lights involved. So I would be going for that one, changing my answer. And that's the reason why you read all the answers, just in case one has better information in it. So hopefully that helps you guys out with that. Why is it particularly important to check your vehicle before making a long motorway journey? Because it's a long journey, you want to make sure it's safe, sound, it's going to get you from A to B. So something along those lines. Continuous high speeds increase the risk of your vehicle breaking down. Yes, it does. You'll have to do more harsh braking on motorways. You shouldn't be braking harshly. Once you've got harsh or sharp in the answer, it's going to be wrong. Motorway services areas don't deal with breakdowns. No. The road surface will wear down the tires faster. And again, no. Yes, continuous high speeds are a risk to your vehicle breaking down. So it's going to be that one. What color are the reflective studs between the lanes on a motorway? Now, this question came up before in terms of studs, but now it's worded slightly different. And this is why I say understand the question, understand the answer. So no matter how they throw it to you, you're still going to pass. So let me just read that question again. What color are the reflective studs between the lanes on the motorway? So between the lanes will be your left-hand lane and your right-hand lane. So between that, as I said, with the colors and the letters, it's going to be W, because W is in between the R and the A. So in that case, it's going to be white. What should you do while you're driving or riding along a motorway? This question comes up a lot in the classroom, and let me see if they've got the options on there, and I'll explain why people go for this. So let me just read that question again. What should you do while you're driving or riding along the motorway? Concentrate more than you would on other roads. That's the common answer. I'm going to tick that, but that's the common answer in the classroom. But it's not the right answer. You should be concentrating on any type of road, the same type of concentration. You shouldn't have to concentrate more because you're on the motorway. On the motorway, you can see at least a mile ahead. So technically what you should be doing is looking further ahead. Because you're doing 70 miles now, you need to see information early, signs early, so you can make your changes, lane changes, nice, early, without being rushed. Travel much faster than you would on other roads. You're on a motorway, so you're going to travel much faster, but not breaking the speed limit. You're going to travel 70 miles now compared to 30 miles now. That's standard. Look much further ahead than you would on other roads. Yes, because you're on a motorway, you're driving a lot faster. You need to see issues, problems, nice and early. Maintain a shorter separation distance than you would on other roads. Obviously, you're going to keep a bigger separation distance because you're on a motorway traveling at 17 miles an hour, so that can't be right. What restrictions apply to people who have a provisional driver's license? They can't drive over 30 miles an hour. That's wrong. They can't drive with more than one passenger. That's wrong. They can't drive unaccompanied, which is true. Because it's provisional, you need to have an experienced driver next to you. The full answer is a person over 21 who's held the license for at least 3 years is a full answer, and they can't drive at night. So it's this one. You're joining a motorway from a slip road. How should you deal with traffic already on the motorway? So you're joining the main carriageway. How should you deal with that? In other words, safely. Stop at the end of the slip road and look for a safe gap. Again, it's got safe in there, but you're stopping on a 70-mile-an-hour road. That cannot be safe. Carry on along the hard shoulder until you see a safe gap. Again, it's got safe in it, but you're driving along the hard shoulder, which you shouldn't be doing unless it's an emergency. Use the slip road to accelerate until you're moving much faster than the motorway traffic. No, because the motorway traffic could be doing 70 miles an hour, which means you're going faster, which means you're breaking the law. So that can't be safe. And match your speed to traffic in the left-hand lane and filter into a safe gap. That's the safest one out of all of them, even though the top two have got safe in it. You're on a smart motorway. What does it mean if a red cross is shown above the hard shoulder and the mandatory speed limit above all other lanes? Just in case you didn't know, smart motorway is just digital information for drivers, so they can change the speed limits, give you signage, give you warnings on the motorway. That's why it's called a smart motorway. So if it's got an X over the hard shoulder, it means you cannot use it. You should be using the other three and staying at 50 miles an hour. So the hard shoulder for emergencies or breakdown use only, that's a possible. The hard shoulder can be used as a rest area if you feel tired. No. The hard shoulder has a speed limit of 50 miles an hour. No, because it's a red X. And the hard shoulder can be used as a normal running lane. No. If it's got 50 over the hard shoulder, that's when it would be a running lane. But in this case, it's got an X, which means technically do not use it. You're traveling along a motorway. When are you allowed to overtake on the left? Now, the only time you're allowed to overtake on the left or pass on the left legally is when the traffic is moving slower in the lanes to your right. So that's the only time legally. When you warn drivers behind by signalling left, no. When the traffic in the right-hand lane is signalling right, no. When in queues and traffic to the right is moving more slowly than you are, yes. When you can see well ahead that the hard shoulder is clear and you should be driving in the hard shoulder. So that's a no. Which vehicles are prohibited from using the motorway? So in other words, the way they word it is just which vehicle is not allowed to use the motorway. Powered mobility scooters, yes. Double deck buses, they can use it. Cars with automatic transmission, they can use it, and motorcycles over 50cc can use it. Powered mobility scooters are disabled buggies or disabled scooters that you see they're using on the pavements. They can only do about 8 miles an hour, so they're not allowed on the motorway for obvious reasons. On a 3-lane motorway, which lane should you use if there's no traffic ahead? So this is similar to what we discussed earlier on, and this is how the theory test works sometimes. Similar question, just worded differently, and the answer is still going to be the same. Stay left when possible, so it's a left-hand lane. So centre, no, either the right or centre no, right no. It's going to be left. Always stay left when possible. When should you use the left-hand lane of a motorway? That's the way it gets thrown up. When you're overtaking slower traffic in other lanes, no. When the road ahead is clear, yes. If it's clear, you should be left. When the vehicle breaks down, no. When you're making a phone call, no. What should you do when you're approaching roadworks on the motorway? So what should, the keyword very should, you do when you're approaching roadworks on the motorway? Obey the speed limit. That's a possible. Speed up to clear the area quickly. No. Always use a hard shoulder. Again, no, hard shoulders for emergencies only. And stay very close to the vehicle in front. Again, staying close to the vehicle in front can't be safe in any shape or form. So it's obey the speed limit. Because if there's roadworks, they're going to reduce the speed limit. So technically, you won't be doing 70 miles an hour, you'll be doing a lot less. So obey the speed limit. Keep yourself safe. Traffic officers. Notice it's traffic officers, not police officers. Operate on motorways and some primary routes in England and Wales. What are they authorised to do? Now, these guys have got no legal powers. All they do is stop traffic, direct traffic on the motorway. So, repair broken down vehicles on the motorway, no. Issued fixed penalty notices, no. Stop and direct anyone on the motorway, yes. Stop and arrest drivers who break the law, no, because they've got no legal powers. You're driving on a motorway and have to slow down suddenly due to a hazard ahead. How can you warn drivers behind of a hazard? And that's similar to one of the first questions we had, hazard lights. So it's going to be use your hazard lights. So switch on your headlights, no. Switch on your hazard warning lights, yes. Sound your horn, no. Flash your headlights. And again, if you read the question very carefully, little golden nugget, you're driving on a motorway and have to slow down suddenly due to a hazard ahead. It's got hazard in the question. The answer also has hazard in the answer. There's a link. It doesn't always work, but again, if that happens, you've got a link in the question, link in the answer, shortlist as a possible, and then narrow it down. Your vehicle broke down on a hard shoulder of a motorway, but has now been repaired. How should you rejoin the main carriageway? Again, similar to the previous question we had where you drive in a hard shoulder to build your speed up. So move out onto the carriageway, then build your speed up. No. Wait on a hard shoulder until someone flashes you. Again, once someone flashes, or once you've got flashes in your answer, the answer is no. Gain speed on the hard shoulder before moving out onto the carriageway. That's a possible. Move out to the carriageway using your hazard warning lights. Again, that was similar to before where I was in two minds about the hazard lights. So the answer is no on that one because it's from the previous answer. So it's gain speed on hard shoulder before moving out onto the carriageway. Where should you stop to rest if you feel tired while you're traveling along a motorway? On the hard shoulder, no. On a slip road, no. On the central reservation, no. At the nearest service station, drive yourself to the nearest service station, take a break, get something to eat, chill, walk, whatever it is. But that's the answer you're looking for. You could never stop on the hard shoulder. You should never stop on the slip road. And obviously central reservation is totally dangerous. When would you use an emergency refuge area on a smart motorway? So the key words there is emergency refuge. And a smart motorway, remember, is the ones with the digital signs that lets you know speed limits, breakdowns, or all the rest of it. So to make a private phone call, no. If you think you'll be involved in a road rage incident, no. In case of an emergency or breakdown, emergency refuge, golden nugget. In case of emergency or breakdown, golden nugget. The two has a link, so I'm going to tick that one. And to stop and check where you are, and again, no. You're on a 3-lane motorway. Which lane are you in if there are red reflective studs on your left and white ones to your right? So be very careful with this. I'm just going to read the question and break it down for you because it's still a stud question, but you're asking you which lane are you in, so be careful with this. You're on a 3-lane motorway. Which lane are you in if the red reflective studs are to your left and white ones on the right? So if you got red on your left, white to your right, you're in the left-hand lane. If you was in the middle lane, you'd have 2 whites. And if you're in the right-hand lane, you have a white to your left and amber to your right. So in this case, it's the left-hand lane. So in the right-hand lane, no. In the middle lane, no. On the hard shoulder, no. And in the left-hand lane, yes. Why is it important to make full use of a slip road as you join a motorway? The slip road when you join in is called acceleration lane. The reason why it gives you enough time to build your speed up to match the traffic on the main carriageway. So to allow you to fit safely in the answer, into the traffic flow in the left-hand lane. That's a possible. It's got the word safely in it as well. To allow you direct access to overtaking lanes, no, because you shouldn't go straight from a slip road to an overtaking lane. You should always join from slip road to left-hand lane. Because there's space available to turn around if you need to, that makes no sense. And because you continue on the hard shoulder and you know you can't drive in the hard shoulder unless it's an emergency. What's the national speed limit on motorways for cars and motorcycles? So the national speed limit on a motorway, otherwise known as the dual carriageway, is 70 miles an hour for a car driver. So we just go straight for 70, don't have to read the rest because again, we just know that's the correct answer. What helps to reduce traffic bunching on a motorway? Now, what helps traffic bunching on a motorway is variable speed limits. Again, that's part of the smart motorway. They can change the speed limits while you're driving live. That's why it's a smart motorway. So lane closures, no. Lane closures actually makes traffic bunching. Contraflow system, again, doesn't help with traffic bunching. It causes more. Variable speed limits, yes, they can change your speed limit live while you're driving. And national speed limits, no. You have stopped in an emergency refuge area. What must you do before you rejoin the carriageway? So you have stopped in an emergency refuge area. What must you do? Must is normally something like law, something that you definitely should be doing. So use the emergency telephones. It says, what must you do before you rejoin? So you would have, that's a possible. Let's mark it then as a possible. Use the emergency telephone because emergency refuge, again, it's got emergency in the question. It's got emergency in the answer. Move away with your hazard lights on, no. Switch on your vehicle's headlights, no. Give an arm signal as you're moving off. Yeah, it's going to be the top one. It threw me a little bit, but because it says, what must you do before you rejoin the carriageway? So it's worded slightly different, but like I said, process of elimination as well. That can always get you to the correct answer. So like I said, I always use my own advice as well when I'm doing questions and when I do it in the classroom with my students. And that's, I keep stressing, read the questions very carefully, read the answers very carefully. If you don't know what the answer is, don't stress, don't freak. Process of elimination or the golden nuggets. In this case, in the question, emergency refuge. In the answer, emergency telephone. There you have it. The motorway section is one of the biggest sections on the theory test itself, along with road signs. So make sure you brush up on your motorway road signs. Just make sure you brush up on all the categories so it's solid. So no matter what question they throw up, you're going to know what the answer is. So hopefully you got some benefit from that. If you haven't already, join us in the community via the Discord server. The invite will be in the description and it will be added as a pinned comment. So click on that, join the community and contribute, ask any questions to give you the best possible chance of passing that theory test first time. So hopefully you got some benefit from this video. If you did, definitely comment below and subscribe. YouTube's going to show you a video here. I'm going to show you a video here. Go off and watch which one's relevant to you and I will catch you in the next video.